Hi there, this is Vinnie Chopra. Some of you have known me. I have written two best-selling books on Amazon, which is Apartment Syndication Made Easy and Positivity Brings Profitability. This is the syndication show where I interview the top professionals who are crushing it, who got into real estate, and they were just kind of, into flipping or building and wholesaling and things like that. But now they are making their home into multifamily syndications and investing and so on. And today's star is Robert Pereira. Actually, I'm very pleased to have him. Hi, Robert. How are you?
I'm doing great, Vinny. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great, doing great. Little bit background on Robert. Robert has overseen the acquisitions and development of over 250 residential projects. That's a lot. Since 2008, he has raised over $25 million of private capital from his network and managed over $120 million of the construction loans for these projects. He earned an undergraduate degree in engineering 2002 at the University of Waterloo and an MBA in real estate and finance in 2008 from the Paul Merage School of Business and the University of California, Irvine. Robert and his family reside in the Newport Beach, California. Robert, I know your dad also and mom, they are in Toronto. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it's such a lovely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, so nice to have you. And I'm very excited to kind of hang out with you and just kind of, get into how you got into real estate. And can you tell the
Perfect.
audience? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll give you a little bit of background, and I will tell the audience a great reference for learning that this is something that is something that anyone can attempt. Is your apartment syndicator book, Vinny? It was, I found it to be an easy read, a lot of great content, but it made it very approachable. It wasn't, rather than, what I appreciate is, rather than saying, hey, this is what I've done and it's very hard to do, so you're not going to be able to do it. Instead, your approach is, hey, look, I did this and I created this, and so therefore anyone should have the opportunity to try. Not everybody's going to succeed. As you highlight, it's a matter of also making sure that you do your homework, you're very careful, you get the right advice, the right mentors, but anybody can give it a shot. And so that reference, as I was getting started in multifamily, and that's the book is why I then became one of your students, and that was a great decision on my part. In becoming part of your network, and I've definitely learned a lot from your teaching, as well as from collaborating with others in your network as well. And thank you for that. A little bit of background on me. Yeah, I've been in development since 2000, real estate development since 2008, mostly in Southern California, where I reside, and put myself in a position where over time I started by working on smaller homes with small remodels, and as you know, Vinny, in the last few years I've gotten up to with my partners several properties where we would put in extensive. We'd buy land for a few million, put another million or two into a luxury home, and then sell it in the $4 to $6 million range. And while that was exciting and profitable, what we realized was it wasn't scalable. You can only do so many of those projects at one time. And the other thing that we realized was it's when you're excuse me, when you don't have cash flow along the way, it makes it that much harder to be able to hit great returns for prospective investors. And so we already had built up, like my bio says, about $25 million worth of investment from investors, offering a little bit lower rates of return than what a typical apartment operator would offer. But those investors would have loved to have seen a little bit higher returns. We saw a perfect synergy there, where we could take our construction knowledge, our real estate knowledge, our capital raising, and our understanding of loans, couple it together with good underwriting, and delve into apartments. And so that's what we've done.
I love it, love it, love it. What were the pain points? Can you come across, like
Yes.
came to your mind, which can help?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I can tell you, well, pain points obviously from my previous business was the inability to be able to scale it. And then also just not having that cash flow along the way. On the multifamily side, I would say if there's been a pain point, it's been that the COVID has been a challenge, not so, only really from the fact that from what I can see, there's been a flood of capital into the market, which has, and a flood of players into the market. As COVID hit, it made office and retail less certain, given the parameters around being able to, you have to, the work from home initiatives, and then also the fact that stores have been in and out of position where they had to stay closed. It put us in a position where, as apartment operators, we were now competing with people in those spaces as well, who are looking to buy our product or buy in the apartment space. And so cap rates got compressed, more people were entering the space. I am still relatively new to the space. I've now been in it for a couple of years. But through some of your contacts, I've been able to build out a great network in Southeast, focused in Atlanta. Even then, it's been challenging to find solid deals, because just what I've found as well is there are other operators that are willing to buy deals because they can deploy capital, make some fees, that kind of stuff. And I just have an opposite approach to that, where I'm looking long term. I want to buy winners, and with solid business plans. I like to say my business is very boring, in that we take capital, we look for good deals, and then we go about buying an asset and then going about the business plan. And so if it's not a good deal, I'm just not going to buy it.
I love
Whereas
that.
other people.
I love that. I'm so glad you touched on that, Robert. And that's the key to success in syndication world, or even, when we are entrusted with the, our partners' money or the investors' money, we have this fiduciary responsibility to not overpay, what you're saying, right? Not to overpay, so that the cash flows will not be there for the investors and all. So important. Just like the deal we bought in Austin, a little bit about it. It was a good deal. I couldn't believe it. I mean, we paid $113 a door. Now they're underwriting $143, $153 a door nearby. Who knew that, right? In the last few months. And the same thing, I want to thank John. John brought a deal from Knoxville, Tennessee. We won the deal out of 15 people. We won the deal. And
Wonderful.
The rents are $845, and 1 mile away, very similar property, $1,600. What?
Terrific.
Oh my gosh, So those nuggets are there, very far in between. Not every day, I want to tell the audience, but you got to persevere. You got to just keep the focus, and then keep on building with the brokers. They will give you deals if they're sincere, you're sincere, and they know that you're not wasting their time.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you can show that you have the ability to perform, that you work hard, that you can, because this is really a game or a sport of not seeing limitations. If you don't have access to the capital, then go find really great deals, and then you will find access to the capital. If you have access to capital and can't find the deals, then partner with those who might have access to the deals but might need additional capital. There's ways to get it done, but you have to focus on bringing value to the deal. Like, you can't just think that it's going to happen because, hey, it's an easy path to millions. I don't think it is. I think it's definitely there's a certainty to the path. And many people have done very well investing in apartments. But it's also, like you said, it's show the perseverance and the willingness to bring value.
So true, so true. So what is your typical day? If you want to tell the audience, how you being successful. You're really quite successful. I'm so pleased, with what you accomplished. No, really.
Thank you. For me, the typical day, I looked at the value chain in multifamily, and I think it's three-pronged. You've got to find deals, you've got to have capital, and then you've got to operate the deals well.
Correct.
And so I have been very focused so far at connecting with a really good team on the ground in Atlanta, where my acquisitions focus is right now. I'm connected with Brian Brinson, as you know, of
Yep.
Meridian Management, and he's been
Yep.
very helpful in helping me look at and underwrite deals, and as well as operated as both property management and in an advisory capacity on deals that I've already purchased. In addition to, I've focused on making sure that I've got good people in legal, good people in ops, good people in just making sure that I've got good people in accounting, all the peripheries. But most importantly, like I said, acquisitions, capital, and then operations, operating a deal. The find your sweet spot and focus on that sweet spot, and then spend a lot of time on it. My two areas of my sweet spot are continuing to cultivate broker relationships, to source deals that I then give to my underwriting team. So I'm working with brokers every day. I'm making calls. I'm connecting and reconnecting, staying in touch, staying on top of deals, being respectful of the broker's time. So when they take the effort to get you a deal, I get them an answer as quickly as possible on whether or not I'm interested in the property and what my purchase price would be. And then secondly, making sure that I'm spending time talking to my current investors as well as prospective new investors, so that I'm continuing to grow that network. So that my goal is to get to a few thousand units in a few years' time. And so with that, I need to continue to grow my capital stack on the equity side. And so I'm day in, day out pursuing those relationships, as well as strengthening the ones that I already have.
Totally. What would you give advice to somebody new, somebody who is trying to get in, they are on the edge, they want to get into, commercial, but hesitation is there, right? So
I would tell them, obviously getting good mentoring is a important thing, to working with someone who's done it before. Studying, you can it's almost free with the internet now to learn, and get very well acclimated with the different pieces of multifamily operations, multifamily syndicating, without having to put real money out. And so there's get all the knowledge, and then from there focus on where you think you can add value. If you have friends and family that you think would back you to purchase an asset, then your value might be that you can bring capital to the table. If you don't necessarily have that network on the capital side, then really focus on how you can go about hunting for a deal and bringing that deal together. I mean, in your case, I'm speaking of John and your deal that you're talking about in Knoxville. Without you having all the details, I'm assuming more of the capital side came from your vast network, whereas John worked hard to find the deal. Yes. So he brought the value of the deal, you brought the value of the capital and your organization that already exists. Yep. You pull it together, you put together the deal together. So figuring out what value you bring and then just working that really hard, I think is the one thing that I would tell someone. Get all the knowledge, then act, but act realizing that nobody's just going to give you something. You've got to bring something really valuable to the table, and that's how great opportunities come about, because people naturally want to work with you. In my case, as I've been building up a broker network, and finding deals, but my big value add from day one was that I had a loyal following of more than 13 years of investor capital. Yes,
that's huge.
Yeah. And you told me that in one of my first calls with you, Vinny. You said if you really have 10 and 20 million dollars of capital access, that's your seat at the table as you're getting started. So not everybody's necessarily going to have that. They might have other skills that they bring to the table, but focus on what that skill is, and then from there network with people to make it happen.
Totally. No, thank you. How do you see yourself in the next 3 years, 5 years? Are you pretty bullish on multi? Are you thinking about going into storage or some other stuff and mobile homes, or
I'm right now I'm 100% focused on multifamily. I think that it's a good asset class. It's held up very well during COVID, and I think it'll come out of COVID in good shape. I'm looking at, right now, I'm more interested in performing assets than ones in deep distress. The reason being, as you know full well, Vinny, the discount that you would expect from a distressed asset versus a performing one is not there. So
Not
it's
that.
almost like so if you're looking to buy, if you're already paying a fair value,
Yeah.
why not buy something that's going to perform well and might hold up? If we have a potential recession in the future, that asset will hold up versus kind of like the stuff you've been buying the last couple of years. Austin, the ones in Florida, they're great properties. They're going to hold up well. The stuff that you owned years before and have been selling,
Yeah.
you bought them at great prices because you bought them at distressed prices at the time, but that discount currently is not there. When the market allows for that, I'll absolutely be a player in that space. But right now, I'm looking for safer buys.
Excellent, smart, very, very smart, very
Thank
smart.
you.
And are you also like keeping focus in one emerging market, or you are thinking to get into another one also?
Great question. So I'm active, and for any brokers that might be listening, I'm active in Atlanta and all of Georgia. Really, I've been looking at areas in like Gainesville, Georgia. I've looked at St. Mary's, Georgia. I've looked at Cornelia, Georgia. These are outskirts of Atlanta. We own 2 assets right now that are in the suburbs of Atlanta, and we're looking to acquire a third one that's in Gainesville, which is where the University of North Georgia is. But I've also made offers on properties in Birmingham, Alabama. I've looked at the Carolinas, and so I'm focused. I've got a Southeast focus right now, and so really, part of it is my operations team. I'm looking at where they currently are on the property management side, where they already have expertise in a certain location. If they do, then I feel like they're going to do a good job of steering the ship when I buy an asset in that location. So I'm not looking to reinvent the wheel. I'm looking to just buy in markets that already have good, healthy, tenant bases and will perform well, where I can do the value add, but not ask for unrealistic things from the property management.
Makes sense. Totally makes sense. What kind of books are you reading, or what are your favorite podcasts you listen to? If you want to share.
I listen to your podcast. In addition to, I like the stuff from Joe Fairless.
Yes.
And Think Multifamily. There's a lot of great information out there. I also do, of course, my own economic reading, and look at things like reports from Marcus and Millichap, and Cushman and Wakefield, and then really to get the greatest sense of how things are going, I get on a plane and I get out and look at properties at least once a quarter. I've been to Atlanta already twice. I'm going again in a couple of months' time. And when I'm there and I can see the assets and I can see, for me, it's not a matter of when I go to an asset, I'm not going there for the purpose of just looking at how the building looks. That's not as important to me as getting an idea of the strength of the local tenant base. Things that you can definitely get from just, reviewing online data, but sometimes just getting an idea, being there visually, to see how a market is truly emerging, right? To make sure that it's emerging. Because some places they'll tell you it's emerging, and then when you actually go there, you realize it's not. There's nothing emerging about it. So it's important to get out there and spend time looking at the areas you want to buy.
Love it, love it, love it. What kind of apps are you using?
As far as tools are concerned, so for my investment management, I use Appfolio. And I in fact got that recommendation from you, and
we use
yes,
yeah.
And that's been great. For my underwriting, I have I've got a couple of underwriters that are working with me, and so we have our own system. It's basically using Google Docs. We've developed underwriting tools. On the app front, we I don't do too much like on the cell phone as far as apps related to the business. I use the Appfolio widget that they have on the iPhone. I also as far as other tools are concerned, we'll have things like there are some pipelining tools that we use to keep track of all of our deals, but stuff that's pretty widely available, Trello, and whatnot.
Yep. Excellent. Well, it's been such a pleasure visiting with you. Some other ideas you want to share with the, like the mindset. I always talk about,
Absolutely, Vinny. I
yeah,
very appreciative of the opportunity to get on your program.
yeah, sure, sure.
Yeah,
No, it's such a pleasure.
be interviewed by
You
you.
know, I really believe that, having the mindset is so important, right? In accomplishing what we want to do in our life. Uh,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what can you, I mean, anything that you do on a daily basis, to get your mind right and focus.
Yeah, I'll say this. I take a long-term approach to things. It's kind of like what's great about, I will say this, like what's great about reading your book and then talking to you is you get perspective from another person who's been through it, right? So the difficulties that you had 10 years ago in raising capital, I haven't had, at least in multifamily, because I already had the capital. So, but conversely, when you were buying, the market wasn't as saturated as it is right now. So you probably had more access to good deals and were really focused on bringing the capital into those deals and to really focus on that. I have the converse problem, right? Where I've got investors that are like, hey, where's the next deal? And I'm putting the brakes on it, saying not until we get something really solid.
Yeah.
So but having that perspective and taking the long game, I look at using you as an example, how things build up over time. You might set a goal of having 3,000 units, and it might be 500 units in your first year, and it might be over, if your goal is 5 years, let's say, you might be buying 1,500 units in that fifth year because you're that much bigger, have that much more of a presence in the area, and have access to capital, access to the deals. But in addition, it might just be that there's an opportunity where the market is in a slowdown in year 5, so you can buy more deals than you could right now. So I think having that, not getting deterred by whatever is your weak point, you mentioned pain points, coming back to that, there's always going to be some pain point.
Yeah.
If your pain point's not capital, then it's deals. If it's not deals, then it's capital. If it's not deals or capital, it could be operations, where you're trying to make sure that your assets are performing well. You've had a number of assets yourself during COVID where you had to work through, make sure that they were performing well, given totally unforeseen circumstances. And so that's where another thing, like learning from you, seeing how even with COVID hitting, it didn't shake you because your thing was, hey, I've got a long-term focus to things. I will do the best to perform. I'll make sure that my business plans on my individual properties are doing well. But it's like, you're not, there's no point in worrying about the little hiccups that happen day to day. You should almost embrace them, look at them as challenges, and take a long-term view to things. And I think then things go well.
So important what you just said. You're so right, Robert. I mean, things happen. And again, we need to expect them. I mean, when everything is going very smoothly, I sometimes worry. I say, oh, what's going on? Because
Absolutely.
something is going to hit, and it's
Totally.
good to just accept it. And then as a CEO of the business, you want to find solutions which are the best, quickest, and in keeping the interest of the investors in mind. That's the number
Absolutely.
one. Interests, investors are gold, and I say residents are gold. Those two are the big goal. And then team members, attorneys, brokers, everybody, lenders, they come.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No,
So
very true.
let me ask you, what do you do for fun with you and family and all?
We've got, as you know, we've got my wife Amy and I have a 5-year-old daughter Chloe and a 2-year-old son Christian. So most of the fun revolves around them.
Yeah.
When we're not working, we're doing stuff with them around either at home. We've got a swimming pool at our home, and Chloe is a very good swimmer. Christian's learning to swim, so we do things like that with them. Taking them out to theme parks as we're able to with navigating COVID. They're in school, so doing things that are related to their school as well. That's most of my fun these days.
Oh, how nice. No, really, Robert, thank you. It's such a pleasure to hang out with you, buddy. And how can people reach you? I know you are always giving back, helping.
Oh, thank you. And yeah, I'm happy to not only connect with people for opportunities, but also just to answer questions and tell them about my work experience with you, Vinny. They can reach me 2 ways. My email address is Robert, ROBERT, ARC, ARCMF. That's arcmultifamily.com, arcmf.com. My website, the website for our company is www.arcmf.com, arcmf.com, and that's the best way to reach me.
Thank you, Robert. It was such a pleasure hanging out with you, and see you next time. I hope everybody liked the content, guys. If you did, remember to like us and share the content with your friends and people, and give us 5-star reviews, because if you do give us, I think we are close to 500 reviews now.
Awesome. Congrats, Vinny.
Getting to be about 100,000 downloads, and our goal is 200,000. You can make it happen for us. So please subscribe and share it with your friends on the social media, and look for all the free contents that we are putting out, myself and my team. I hope it will help lots of you. Thanks again, and see you next time. Thank you so much. Thank you, Robert.
Vinny. Thank you so much.